Welcome to the IDEO Protocol team. Thank you for joining myself. My name is Matt Parker, and my business partner Chip Watley. He'll also be a coach here. You'll be working with both of us. So thank you again and welcome to our team. I wanted to take a moment or two to go over our reference folder along with your 2-week starter kit to give you a good idea on how to follow the IDEO protein diet. So let's start off with the reference folder. Open your reference folder on the left-hand side. We'll start off with your Phase 1 overview document. Take your time and read through this. It'll give you some good logistics on how the program works, some do's and some don'ts to keep you on path. Next, on the left side, the next document is the consultation outline. Again, we're going to cover some great points and tips about the program, why it works the way it does. You are starting a contractual agreement at this point, and you're going to be working with us as a team. Your coaches are always there for you, and there's never too many questions, all right? So please use us. After that, on the left side, let's talk about the influence of the foods you choose to eat on what? Metabolic hormone levels, insulin and glucagon. We talked about that in the workshop. So we want you to be aware of the foods you choose and how they might influence those important metabolic hormones. If you eat too much carbohydrate or processed carbs anyways, your insulin levels are going up and your glucagon does not change and there becomes an imbalance. Same with a lot of carbohydrate along with fat, a lot of insulin, high carb, low protein over time. Again, a lot more insulin, and when you're living in the insulin zone, you're in what? The body storing, fat storing mode. So we want you to be aware of that, so go ahead and take a look at that document as well. Again, here on the left-hand side, we're going to talk about how your body may initially respond in the first 7 days of the program. Now, first note, not all dieters are going to experience all of these issues, but certainly, like hunger, we all will feel a lot of hunger in that first week. So we've got something for you in your starter kit that will help. Now on program, you're going to be on 4 meals a day. But in the first 7 days, you're allowed to add what would be a 5th meal. We have this bag here in your kit called Extra 7, and it has 7 extra meal replacements. In this one, you see 6 chocolate shakes and 1 mango shake. These are nowhere on your 2-week menu. They're completely at your discretion, so feel free to use these in the first 7 days for an additional meal. We don't want you reaching for anything that's not on protocol or feeling like you need to quit, so please use these, all right? Next, let's take a look on the right side of your folder. Pull out this form called Not Allowed on Phase 1 and 2. Now on the Not Allowed on Phase 1 and 2 sheet, it's going to talk about the foods and food groups that you should not be eating while you're on the program. So that's there for your reference. But that will become actually pretty redundant or not necessary because we're going to now go over the Phase 1 guide for the program. This has a list of the foods that you're allowed to eat, the meats and vegetables, so you won't have to worry about what you're not allowed to have. And just stick to what you know you can have. So there's 2 documents here to stay on the protocol. I reached into your starter kit and grabbed a 2-week menu that we'd prepared for you. So these 2 in combination, the Phase 1 guide and the 2-week menu, are going to be how you're living for the bulk of your program. So let's review those now. All right, so let's start and take a look at the Phase 1 document. What are we looking at here? So we're going to talk about 4 meals a day. You have the breakfast meal, the lunch meal, the dinner meal, and the snack meal. Now really all meals are equal. Don't think of a snack as a snack, it is a 4th meal. But there are specific rules for each of these meals. Then you also have here the meats you're going to be allowed to eat, the vegetables you're allowed to eat in the select vegetable list. So let's go through some of this, all right? So for the breakfast meal, you're going to have an IDEO protein food, an IDEO protein meal replacement. Let's go over to your 2-week menu for day 1. Day 1, that breakfast meal is going to be our fine herb and cheese omelet. So you want to review to your starter kit over here and pull out the bag that's labeled unrestricted. You can see that's written in black along with this first meal here on the day 1 in the 2-week menu. It's written in black. So that's how you know it's an unrestricted food. We call it also the black foods, if you will. The fine herb and cheese omelet you can see is right here in the pouch. So that's going to be your first meal. So you want to open that up and prepare it with your protein shaker. It'll tell you on the back of the pouch or on a guide in here that we have for you to use 3 to 5 ounces of water. You'll put that inside the container, open the pouch, pour it in here, shake up that omelet. Now you'll want to have a pan going with some olive oil in there for non-stick, plus you need to eat some olive oil every day. We'll get into that in a minute. Go ahead and pour that omelet into the pan, and you're going to cook these protein isolates. Now keep in mind that's what they are. They're not egg yolks, they're protein isolates. If you overcook them or cook them at too high of heat, they will become rubbery, the consistency will change, and it won't taste as good. So we recommend a medium heat and just don't cook it for very long. A little bit of moisture in there is good for better texture. So that's how you would go about your breakfast. And then your second meal is your lunch meal. And again, it's another ideal protein food, plus 2 cups of select vegetables that you'll end up providing. You go back to your menu. The lunch meal shows dill pickle zippers. Notice that that's in red letters and they're capitalized. Then we're going to go into your 2-week starter kit and find the red lettered bag, and these are known as your restricted foods. Your restricted foods, what that means is it's your sugar dose of the day or your carbohydrate dose of the day. You only get 1 red food per day. You can never eat more than 1 red food per day. So the dill pickle zippers are in this bag. What those are basically some protein chips. They have like a sour cream and onion flavor to them. So you'll pull those out and they're ready to go. You're just going to eat those chips. And along with 2 cups of vegetables that you have provided for yourself, and those are from, again, that select vegetables list. You want to bring those 2 cups of vegetables. So that'll be your lunch. Then we'll move on to your dinner meal. We also call that the whole meal, right? If you look over on your 2-week menu, it basically says the same thing. You can have up to 8 ounces of lean meat plus 2 more cups of select vegetables. So over here on the Phase 1 guide, here are your lean meat selections. Now if you're vegetarian or you don't prefer meat, you can also ask us for a vegetarian protein list that we're happy to provide for you. Otherwise, choose from this list here. All right? And then along with the 2 cups of vegetables again from your select vegetable list. So that's how you'll do the dinner meal. You want to weigh out your meat before you prepare it. As I said, up to 8 ounces of the lean meat, and put that on your digital scale. For the vegetables, at lunch and for your dinner, you want to measure those out in a measuring cup. Feel free to chop them up and pack them in and get as many as you can into your 2-cup allotment. Plus or minus a little bit on those vegetables, you're going to be just fine. But make sure they're on that select vegetable list and they're very fibrous and not starchy. The 4th meal of the day, or we call it the snack meal, it's another ideal protein isolate meal replacement. You come over to your 2-week menu, and it happens to be the ready-made strawberry banana drink. So if we refer to our starter kit here, there's another bag inside, and this is what we call ready-made unrestricted. It's just a slight variance. These are also what we call black food, or an unrestricted or non-restricted food, which means they're very low in sugar, low in carbohydrate. The ready-made just means you can go ahead and open it and consume it. You don't have to use water, you don't have to cook it. Now clearly they don't require refrigeration because they're not refrigerated at this point, but we do recommend refrigerating them. They will taste better. So that's what the ready-made strawberry banana drink is. It's right there. All right? Then again, looking at the rest of your 2-week menu, what else is involved in every day? Water. You want to get in at least 64 ounces of water or 2 liters of water. We did provide you a water bottle that's about 1 liter of water, so at least twice a day on our bottle of water. Next, you want to make sure you're getting in some olive oil every day as well as salt. Olive oil is one of the healthiest fats on the planet, and it makes a great, tasty, handy salad dressing. And again, salad dressings are tough while you're on the diet because a lot of them have lots of garbage in them and you know, carbs, sugars, and or fat, which you have to avoid while you're on protocol. So olive oil, think whenever you're doing your meats or veggies, you want to get olive oil in to coat the pan and even eat some of it. Now a handy way I would get my olive oil in when I was on protocol is I would take a head of cabbage and I would chop it up, put it in a Tupperware bowl, and I would drizzle my olive oil on there. I would take out our ideal salt, because again, that's the next thing on this list here is you got to get your salt in. I would sprinkle salt on there and squeeze some fresh lemon on. It would make a very tasty, tangy salad dressing. I got my oil, I got my salt, and I got my 2 cups of veggies, and it was done just within a few minutes. Fantastic way to get those all in. So we talked about the olive oil. I did touch on the salt just now. We do want to make sure you get at least 1/4 teaspoon to maybe a full teaspoon of our ideal salt. Our salt is special, it's different. It's an iodized sea salt. The sea salt means it's mineral rich. Minerals are very important in your diet. And iodide, the iodized part of it, is also a critical element in your diet. So our salt is special, so use our salt. And again, it's one of the top 5 low-carb mistakes. When people are on low-carb diets, they tend to not get enough salt in their diet. Now, we all know we need sodium every day. When you're on this diet, you're not dining out, you're not eating a lot of packaged foods, so your sodium levels actually go down. So we want to make sure you get enough salt in. And when you're in ketosis on this diet, your kidneys are behaving differently. They're going to be excreting a lot more sodium and a lot more water. So you have to replenish that water and that sodium to make sure you keep electrolyte balance and you stay hydrated. It's critical to the program and your success, so don't forget that, okay? And the last section on your 2-week menu we're going to cover here is the supplements. Now, again, these are critical, just like your salt and your water. We have your 2 multivitamins you got to take every day, 4 of our calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, zinc, 2 of our omega-3, fish krill oil, okay, with all the best EPA and DHA in there, along with 1 potassium every day. So if I pull those out of your starter kit over here, they're in your own bag. Here's your salt I talked about, the iodized sea salt, and all of your 4 supplements are in here. And on the top of the bottle, we went ahead and wrote how many per day for those supplements. Now back to your guides down here, we do show it on your weekly menu we prepared for you. We show you some with every meal, some with breakfast, some with lunch, some with dinner, and some with your 4th snack meal. Now over on the phase 1 guide, it's shown a little bit different. There's some with breakfast, skip lunch, some with dinner, and some with your 4th snack meal. The bottom line is we want to make sure you get all those totals in, and you'll see that on your 2-week menu. Again, 2 of those multivitamins, 4 of the CalMags, 2 of the omega-3s, and 1 of the potassium. So that's all that goes into the program when you're on phase 1. There are a couple notes on the phase 1 guide I want you to take notice of. There's some recommendations for seasonings and things you might consider, as well as some lettuce and raw vegetables are allowed unlimited. Right, take note, your 2 cups of vegetables at lunch and dinner, they do want to come from that select vegetable list, but just above it is the unlimited raw vegetables and lettuce. If you're using lettuce, again, it's totally optional. Get your 2 cups from the select list. You can put it on as big a bed of lettuce as you want, make a huge salad out of it, or you can skip lettuce. That's up to you. And at the same time, there are some that are both in the select list as well as the unlimited raw list, like celery and cucumber and some other favorites. Now these are mostly water and they're very low caloric and everything else, so you can feel free to use those at an unlimited level. If you're having your 2 cups at lunch, but you've been hungry every day at lunch, you can go ahead and add an extra 2 cups of celery or cucumber or anything from this unlimited raw list. Really can have as much as you want. But we don't want you keeping a bag of celery at your desk and snacking all day. We'd rather you just make each meal a little bit bigger with those raw vegetables or lettuce that you're allowed to have, okay? So that's how you follow the phase 1 guide. We started you off with a couple weeks, week 1, week 2, and your guide. Now week 3 and beyond, you're gonna have to go ahead and prepare this same list where you choose all the ideal protein foods that you prefer and then plan out your meats and vegetables just like you did for the first 2 weeks. Next, I'd like to get into a few documents that are left inside your folder. On the right-hand side, we have the ideal protein preparation instructions. Now on this guide, it talks about all of our foods and how to prepare them, how much water, how long to cook them, and again, it's a general guide. If you like your soups thicker, put a little less water in and there'll be a thicker soup. If you like it runnier and you want to feel like you're having more of the chicken noodle soup, put a lot more water in there. So feel free to play with it a little bit, but this is a general guide on how to prepare our foods. And on the back side, there happens to be more. We want you to take note, there's more foods on the back. And for something like our rotini, which is our low-carb pasta, a little more dense and chewy, we even put a couple recipes on here on how to alter our food. Because if you just have our pasta plain and boil it, it's not going to be the best taster, right? So you want to do some things to dress it up and have a better meal out of our rotini pasta. So don't forget that, all right? Next, we have our tips, ideas, and suggestions form. On here, it's just full of helpful tips, like with your protein shaker here. You never want to take it and put hot water directly into the protein shaker. Say you're making a soup at work and you have a hot water spigot. You don't want to put your soup in there and put hot water and shake it up, because it's going to end up causing combustion. So if you open up the lid, it might spray yourself and burn you, or get all over your kitchen walls, or at work even worse. Another tip on the tip list is also clean these protein isolates out of here. Don't leave it in there all day because they'll get really sticky. By the end of the day, you'll be in there with a knife trying to get that protein out of there, and that's the last thing we want, right? So read through the tips and find those benefits. Next in your folder, we have a list of all of our foods and their prices by box. So we have it organized by color. There's a legend at the bottom to tell you color coding and what those mean. So if you start on the right-hand side, there's all the black foods. We call them black. They're unrestricted or non-restricted. If you take note right here, you're going to need 2 per day of those, or 2 boxes per week, because every box of our foods has 7 meals. Almost every box has 7 meals. They're built for weeks. Then you move over to the restricted foods, or the red foods. Remember, that's your sugar or carbohydrate dose. You can only have 1 of those per day, and you need 1 per day. Now you can have 1 box of those to get you through a week, right? 7 days in a week, 7 meals in a box. So feel free to look through these and look at the pricing and whether they're restricted or non-restricted. So when you're planning out week 3, week 4, week 5, you have a general guide of what's in here and what you're going to want. Now, most of our clients love to come in and see us each week and just do their shopping when they're here, because we have it spaced out in the store for you to see easily, and we can help you with that. All right? Last but not least, let's move on to your recommended shopping list, as you'll see here. The recommended shopping list, this one is pretty comprehensive. We talk about the fact that you want a digital food scale. If you don't already have one, you can pick that up at Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, anywhere. You might spend $10 or $20 depending on the quality or what kind of digital food scale you get. Some other things you might want: measuring cups and spoons, Tupperware, maybe a Foreman grill to cook meat handily and quickly. Things you can do for flavoring: lemongrass, apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, okay. Take note, you cannot have balsamic or red wine vinegar because they're too high in sugar. So be careful when you go out to eat at a restaurant and you think, I'll just have the oil and vinegar. Be careful, because you can't have that balsamic or red wine vinegar. So just full of some things you might do for seasoning and flavoring. And now we also put all the vegetables from the Phase 1 guide that you're allowed to have on the program, so you can take this with you without having to take your Phase 1 guide to the store. And if you flip it over to the back side of that shopping list, also, here's the list of the lean meats that you're allowed to have. So when you go shopping, you have that handy with you. Some ideas for drinks: you can have your herbal teas as long as there's nothing added to them. Your coffee. Now take note, warm foods and warm drinks, they're more satiating. They make you feel more hungry. So if you're feeling really hungry and need a distraction, don't forget that little tip or trick. Some warm food or warm drink can help you. Other naturally flavored things or waters, and even the occasional artificially flavored, something like a sparkling ice might be good for you. But just don't overdo it with those artificial sweeteners. We're already giving you a little bit here in the program, and we want to move away from that sugar flavor and sugar taste all the time, okay? Last but not least, a few extras at the bottom: a breath spray if you get the ketone breath, some Miracle Noodle. Always a couple reminders about our Walden Farms products. We carry a heavy selection of those here for you: salad dressings, barbecue sauces, ketchups, syrups, everything else for our products. Now these are all what we say are great for our protocol because they're all 0 carbohydrate and 0 fat, which is the general rule. If you're wondering, can I use this seasoning? Can I use this sauce? Just flip over the back and look at the nutritional information on that bottle. If it says 0 carbohydrate, of course that means 0 sugar, because we know carbs are sugars. And also 0 fat. If it's 0, the answer is yes. You can use that sauce, you can use that seasoning, but just keep it to 1 serving size. And on the bottle, it should tell you what 1 serving size is. Like the Walden Farms, it's usually 1 or 2 tablespoons, or like the pasta sauces, might be a 1/4 cup. So just be sure to review the serving size. You can have 1 serving per meal. You may not want to do it for every meal, but at least a couple meals a day, you can do that. And we warn you one more thing: watch out for diet sodas and chewing gums, because sometimes the artificial sweeteners, for some people, can cause a bit of a problem. So just take warning and be careful with those sorts of things. And again, we don't want you having too much sugar flavor all the time. Now, if you don't like the comprehensive looking list, or if you just want to study that, and then when you're actually off to the store you want it even simpler, it's just one-sided. If you prefer more like a checklist, we have a checklist, and this is showing the meats that you're allowed to have, the lean cuts, along with the vegetables, some seasonings, oils, and some other tidbits or items. So now you'll want to go ahead and start off. I'm going to put this back together for you. You're going to have your shopping list at the top. You want to have your Phase 1 guide, your 2-week menu, and all these helpful documents. Now we encourage you to take these home, read through them, get all your foods out, put them on the table, organize them how you want, whatever works for you, so you can begin your program and start finding success quickly. Now, just again, thank you so much for joining our team here at Ideal Protocol. Myself and Chip will be here for you all the way through. We don't feel successful if you're not successful, and so we're very passionate about that. Again, thank you so much. Welcome to the team.